All right, so good morning, everybody. My thought for you this week has very much been on it's been on our ability to recognize that even though the outside world is changing and changing and changing and changing, that's always what it does. And whether we like those changes or we don't, it doesn't really shift at all what our main purpose is in a spiritual practice. It doesn't change it at all. Right? So there's been a lot of anxiety. There still is a lot of anxiety about where is the world going? And the answer yoga gives is that the world is going where it's always been going. It's just turning, right? It just turns. The cycles continue, the wheel continues to turn and turn and turn, and things are born and things continue, and then things die and something else is born, right? This is the way the world goes. And sometimes we like that process and sometimes we don't. But it doesn't change what you're here to do. Right? So what I've been saying all week is that whatever happens makes no difference in the outside because you're still going to get up and you're still going to do your work, right? What you're in this lifetime to do, you're still going to do it. And maybe those circumstances outside make it seem like that work is easier or harder, depending on your perspective, but your work is the same, right? And so this morning I have for you the image of the dancing Shiva, right? The Nataraj. And he is, you've seen him, so we're going to do dancer pose today. But the image of him is that it's like a snapshot. So he's in this whirling dance of, you can imagine spinning and circling and legs and arms flailing everywhere, snakes flailing everywhere because it's Shiva, so there's snakes involved. And in that sort of chaoticness, the snapshot of what we see is complete stillness, right? It's complete balance. So he's in the middle of that swirling and twirling and everything is changing and everything is falling apart. And at the same time, it's exactly the way that it's supposed to be. And he's completely still and calm, right? So what we're asked to see is that he's smiling, right? That there's a contentedness on his face of being in the middle of that cycle, right? So for us, that's what we're looking for in our practice is can we come to that state where we're really participating in the world as it spins, but that we're not spinning with it, right? We're actually that sort of steady place where the world spins around, right? So the spinning dancer is that snapshot that says that whatever there is for you to do, you're gonna get up and you're gonna do it, and the world's gonna keep spinning. But the only way for you to really do your work is to be present for it, present in it, right? And that's that state of calm. It doesn't mean that you are just calm. You still have every emotional experience, every human experience, but there's a steadiness to it, right? You're not being pulled by the world, rather you are the axis that the world spins around. Does that make sense? Right? So that's what we're working with our spiritual practices. Can you stay in that place so that you know that whatever you have to do, whatever the world comes to on the outside, you will still get up and you'll still do your work. And that you know that what is running through you, right, the energy running through you is always going to be enough or more to meet that task, right, to meet that need. So that's our practice, is just doing that. Whatever you do or don't do on the outside, almost in the yogic perspective, makes no difference, right? Because the purpose of your practice is to be aware of that inner state of balance, that inner state of calm that lets you meet the world, wherever it is, and know that you're not going to be collapsing under it, right? You're the axis that it spins around. So comfortable seat wherever you are. Let the eyes close for a moment. And as you're breathing, I want you to breathe your breath the whole length of your spine and beyond. So as you're inhaling, the breath rises up the spine, goes beyond the crown of the head, up into that infinite space above you. And as you're exhaling, the breath goes all the way down the spine, past the tailbone, through the tailbone, down into the infinite space through the earth. And breathe that way, inhaling all the way up the spine, through the crown of the head. Exhaling down the spine, all the way past the tail into the center of the earth, even beyond the center of the earth. Good. So yesterday we began a 40-day sadhana, 40-day spiritual practice. The idea is doing the exact same practice every day for 40 days so that there is a potentially fundamental shift in your inner perspective. And that can be very odd to think that if I just do the same thing every single day, that that's going to change the way that I experience the world or the way I experience myself. But it's been shown over and over again, right, that what you're doing habitually changes your brain, changes the patterns of the mind, and the mind is what generates our perspective of the world. So your spiritual practice is to take you there, the grooves of your mind, the patterns of your mind that you meet the world with. So this breathing, I breathe myself up into that infinite space. I breathe myself down into that infinite space. And I realize that I am in the middle of that infinity. So wherever my limits are, whatever I perceive my limits to be, is not the end of me. Because I can breathe my breath into that infinite space. My mind can expand into that infinite space. This is that quality of, if you trust, you believe in that energy flow, you can meet the world in whatever state that it is. Breath flowing up the spine, breath flowing down the spine. And can you feel yourself as part of that flow of energy? Not that you are something that stops it in the middle, but you are part of that flow. One and the same as that flow. And last inhale all the way up to the top of your breath. Pause and hold. And exhale all the way out, allowing the navel to come in towards the spine. Push the air out. Good. Then inhale your breath. Pause at the top. Exhale the breath. Navel to spine, push it all the way out. And last inhale in like that. Inhale to the top of your breath, pause and hold. And exhale all the way out. Navel to spine. And then let the breath flow in. It's normal. Inhale, hands to heart center. We'll open with the sound of Om, deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release the hands. Come forward to hands and knees and start to do some nice big hip circles. I feel like I gave you the spoiler of what we were doing today when I said we're doing dancer pose.
You did.
Good. But you won't know when, right? That's the surprise, is when is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Nice, you guys. Move your hips the other way, please. Moving your spine in this sort of circular spiraling pattern. So every rotation, right, is not the same rotation. Every rotation gives you a different awareness of how your pelvis is doing right now, how your back feels right now, how your shoulders are integrated, all of that stuff. So don't move mindlessly. Move with a full awareness of, this is the body and mind that I have to do the work of my life. So if I don't know how it's working, it's going to make it difficult for me to do what I need to do. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Hips right on top of knees. Walk your fingertips forward into a modified downward facing dog. Good. Come up on your fingertips so the arms are extended forward, hips back. Good, a little more, Sally. There you go. And then start to cat-cow your spine. Press your shins down into the floor. Don't drop your hips back to your heels. Keep your shins really anchored, hips right on top of knees. Good. And up on fingertips, cat-cow your spine. Nice. I've definitely been in a mood this week about how we do or don't hold ourselves internally in our poses, right? How much you drop your weight into your hands or into your legs and just ignore the space in between. So up on fingertips, can you move your spine from an internal place? Because you can't just put all of your weight flat into your hands. Good. Nice, you guys. And then come back to stillness, please. Walk the hands back, widen the knees, drop your hips back to your heels, child's pose. Good. And then squeeze your knees towards your outer ribs a little bit more. So if your knees are super wide and you can't touch your outer ribs, that's okay, but really squeeze in as though you intend to hug your outer ribs. Good. So you squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the inner thighs, scoop your low belly, and really feel that you're dropping the back of your thighs, the back of your seat down to your heels. Keep pushing through your shins. So a really active child's pose. And as you squeeze all of that, then relax behind your heart. Good. And then still in child's pose, can you come up on the tips of your elbows, bring your palms together overhead like you're in prayer. Good. And press down into those elbows. Yeah, drag your armpits, your lower edge of your armpits towards your hips. Good. So you're digging down and dragging back, hands up in prayer above the head. Nice. One more breath, hips back to your heels, reach through those elbows. And then release, come all the way back up to hands and knees. Nice job. Come back, downward facing dog, tuck your toes, lift your hips. Beautiful. Right foot steps forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky, high lunge. Nice. Bend your back knee a lot. Pull that thigh forward so your hip points lift up a little higher. Interlace your fingers overhead. Press the heels of the hands straight up to the sky. Good. And then shoulders stay on top of hips, but as you exhale, round. Push the arms forward, round into your back rib cage. So don't lean forward. Just push your ribs back and keep that back knee bent. Good. Inhale the arms back up to the sky. Knees are still bent. I know, it's hard. And then exhale, bring the arms forward again. Curl in. Keep that squeeze of the feet, but don't get obsessive about it. Don't get aggressive. Arms to the sky. Inhale. You got to breathe deeper. Good. One more time. Exhale, bring the arms forward, round into your back body, lifting the front edge of the pelvis. Feel your lower back. Nice. And then arms to the sky. Take that back thigh to straight. Release the hands down to the floor. Good job.
Good morning.
Good morning. Drop the back knee to the floor, please. Both hands come inside the front foot. Walk to the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Nice. And then before you drop onto your elbows and just try to escape, move your hands a little bit wider. Yeah, so you're inside that front knee. Move your hands wider up on your fingertips, like you're doing a little wide-armed push-up. And then as you exhale, you bend your elbows wide. Let your chest gently drop towards the floor. And then you rise up with your inhale, lift. And then you exhale and you let the elbows bend. So again, you're not doing a push-up. This is not the military, but you're letting your breath move you. And you're letting your elbows stay soft so that the chest can lower. So the chest opens, the back opens. And at the same time, because of this position, your hips open. Good. And we're reminded, right? Asana is just a kind of focused attention of how you deal in your body, right? The world is doing this for you all the time. It's giving you places that are challenging in specific ways so that you open. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Drop down to the elbows here inside the front foot if you'd like, or stay on fingertips. You can also use a block. I do miss your sassy comments. That's the only what I really miss about you guys being muted all the time is the sassy comments. Good. Ronnie, watch that your front knee doesn't roll in. Good. And now I'm curious, right? If you feel like you are locked out in the front of that right thigh, or your left, either one here could feel like it's really just in a stuck place. Can you curl into your low belly just a little bit, lift your butt a little bit more? Yeah, and curl into your low back and then relax through your shoulders. Like those two things don't happen at the same time. Good, walk yourself back up, please. Nice job. Move your left hip back on top of your left knee. Right leg comes forward to straight up on the heel. Ardha Hanumanasana. Yeah, third pose of the class, half split. It's completely reasonable. Keep your hips facing straight ahead, please. So if your right hip, that front leg is pushing forward too much, pull it back so that your hip points are in the same line. Good, and then walk the torso forward, reaching towards the ankle. You can absolutely use blocks underneath the hands. Good. Dig that right heel down, pull it back. So even if that means that it feels like your knee is slightly bent, that's fine, because to straighten it, I would much rather you get into feeling that you can pull your thigh, the top of your thigh back to straighten the leg. You got it, Ralph. Try to curl those toes back a little more. That's it. Good. So a bent knee is not a problem, right? Because where we're really going to get a deeper stretch in the hamstrings and the back is our ability to tilt the pelvis. So don't obsess about your knee. Good. Also a lesson for life, right? Whatever you're trying to accomplish, don't obsess about the one thing that looks like it's not happening the way that it should. Look for where there's maybe a better option, a more free option. Good. Walk yourself towards the right, please. So both hands come towards the baby toe edge of your foot. Nice. And some of you are just going to be happy right here in that little bit of a twist. If you want to go for the balancing twist, left forearm presses up against that right shin, right arm comes to the sky. You got it, Marlene. Nice. Don't let that front knee collapse, you guys. You're still leaning forward. Beautiful. Nice, Lisa. Nice, Nancy. And then slowly release. Good job, Laura. Good, you guys, pull that right heel back and in, lift the back knee up, step back, downward facing dog. Yikes, yikes, yikes. You still have the other side. It's true, bend your knees, please, cat, cow. Don't let that tighten you up. Right? The wheel is always turning. The dance is always happening. There's no reason to assume that it's going to happen the exact same way that it did last time. The second side will not feel the same way that the first side did. It can't, because you are not the same as you were when you did the first side. That's what the mind struggles to remember. Good. Let the legs come to straight, please. Soften through the heels. And then left foot steps forward between the hands, lunge. Inhale the arms to the sky. So what did you learn from the first side, right? Is that if you get really hard about how difficult this is going to be, you're going to make it more difficult. So don't do that. Bend your back knee. Squeeze the back knee and the front heel towards each other. Lift those hip points up. And then interlace your fingers. Press the heels of the hands up to the sky. Good. And then as you exhale, bring the arms forward, round into your back rib cage. Don't lean forward though. So Marjorie, keep those ribs up, up, up and back. There you go. And then inhale the arms back up to the sky. Yeah. Exhale, bring the arms forward again. Good. Keep squeezing the feet towards each other. And then inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Last time, exhaling, bringing the arms forward, round. Really pull back through those armpits. Nice, Ilana. And then arms up, please. Nice. Straighten the back thigh. Release the hands down to the floor. Good. Drop the back knee. I know you wish that that was the end, right? Both hands to the inside of the front foot. Walk towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Come up on fingertips. Widen your hands. Good. And again, as you're exhaling, you're letting your elbows bend wide. That's important. So they're not bending forward. They're bending wide so that your chest opens. And then you're gently lifting back up. And then you're exhaling, dropping the chest. Nice. And so any amount that you're allowing your torso to go lower than that front hip that's creating more opening on the hip, more opening on the groin. Good. So you don't have to come to the floor, but it's any amount that you can drop yourself inside that front knee is going to be beneficial. Good. And then come to stillness, please. Drop down to your forearms inside that front foot if you'd like, or use blocks, or stay on your fingertips. Or, you know, put your elbows on your cat. Yeah. And then watch that you stay present. Again, when we're doing things that are physically very challenging, is it's easy to say, well, my mind will just go somewhere else, and eventually this difficult place will end. Then we build that pattern, and we do that with the rest of our life. If something's going on that makes us uncomfortable, and we completely tune out and say, well, eventually it'll go away. I'll come back to myself when it goes away. That's not doing your work. So this practice is, can you tap into the flow of energy in you that is always rising, that's always willing to step into the world as it is, into your discomfort as it is, up to your edges as they appear to be. And that maybe you trust that energy so much that says that I can go beyond what I did yesterday. Whatever is happening, this is not the end. I'm not the end of me. Walk yourself back up. Take your right hip back in space, please. Left leg comes forward to straight. Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. So you're coming up on the left heel. And then once you're up on that heel and your hip points are in the same line, right? So that front leg, that left leg might have to come back a little bit. Then you're tilting the pelvis forward. So your inner thighs press back, your sit bones press wide, and then you're walking your hands towards your heel. Good. So this is important. Again, I'm throwing this pose in here, not just for the hamstring, the back of the leg opening, but because if we don't get that pelvic tilt understanding, then dancer pose becomes more difficult to do. So again, can you feel yourself moving from the tilt of your pelvis instead of obsessing about your legs? Good, but you're dragging that heel back still. As I say, don't obsess about your legs, don't forget about your knees. Nice, you guys. Good, and then start to walk your hands, both hands, to the baby toe side of your front foot. And again, this might be enough to just hang out there and breathe through that right side body. If you want to go for the balancing twist, the right forearm pushes up against your left shin, left arm comes to the sky. And again, you can absolutely have a block underneath your hand. Good, so this is about hip stability, right? So you got to push both inner thighs wide. You got to draw your navel in. Nice, Sarah. Nice, nice, Sally. Good, Dana. Awesome, everybody. And then slowly release. Good job, you guys. Pull that left heel back in. Lift the back knee up, downward facing dog. Good. Nice job. Slide forward to plank pose. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Rising up into cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Nice. And then drop back down to your belly, forehead to the floor. Walk your hands back a tiny bit more so that you really have your wrist directly underneath your elbows. So your arms are making 90 degrees. So you guys in the room here, you guys are perfect. Good. So you really have that feeling. From here, right, you're pressing down into your hands. You're hugging those inner armpits towards each other, but feel like you're pushing your upper arms slightly wide. Right? Not always the way that we say it. So I want your armpits squeezing in, but I want you widening your upper arms. And then begin to pull your chest forward, lift head, neck, and chest, and feel that it's the back of the shoulder blades tilting in that's lifting your chest up. So you're dragging yourself along the floor. Good, and your arms in this position might feel like they can't push as much as they usually do. Good, shins down, Ralph. Nice. And then release. Good job, you guys. Press back up to hands and knees. Take yourself back, child's pose, knees wide. Good, finding your breath. The dancer, if you, in many of the traditional images, is you'll see Shiva in his dancing position, and then he's encircled by flames, right? So it's like he's literally dancing within fire. And that fire is meant to represent for us that constant state of transformation, that constant state of flux that the world is in, that your mind is in. And that it's the pattern of your dancing, right? It's the pattern of how you interact with the world that moves that transformation in specific directions. But it's always happening. Walk yourself to the right, please, over the right thigh. So part of that image of Shiva is that there's no fear that what you are today or what you were yesterday is going to be destroyed tomorrow, because you just know that it will be. Come back to center, walk to the left, right? There's no fear that if something is destroyed or something falls apart that you'll have nothing left, because the understanding is that there's always something that is rising. There's always a part of you that is rising. And so your whole practice has nothing to do with the outside world. Also what the mind struggles to understand. Only has to do with you. How are you dancing? How are you participating? Walk yourself back to center. Good. And then come on back up to hands and knees, please. Do a little cat and cow. Good. Being aware of the way that your heart or your chest is moving through your shoulders. Good. So don't collapse your weight into your hands on that big cow position, right? I don't want you to drop your weight. I want you to push into your hands just as much in that position and really lift the chest forward and up like you're doing cobra pose. Nice, Alana. Good. And then come back to stillness, please. Stretch the right arm out wide to the right. Slide that arm behind your left wrist. Right shoulder finds the floor. Turn your gaze. Left arm walks forward. So you are threading the needle. Good. Keep pressing into your shins. Yeah. It's a really important one. When you push into your shins in a position like this, it kind of automatically gets you to use your outer thighs and your outer hips more. Not only makes you more stable, but it gives that area, which for many of us is very tight, an opportunity to continue to open even though your focus is not there. It's the benefit of a mindfulness experience, is that if you are fully present for everything that is occurring, then everything has the opportunity to move into its best place of alignment, its best place of balance. But if you're hyper-focused on only one thing, we don't always create that. Come back up to center. Good. Go the other way. Left arm goes wide. And slide behind your right wrist. Shoulder finds the floor. And the right arm walks forward. And press into your shins. By pressing into your shins, again, you stabilize the lower body, which means that you can then successfully twist the upper body maybe a little deeper. Good. You be as full of breath in this position as you are when you are sitting still or lying still in your greatest comfort. God, keep those shins awake. And then slowly release, come all the way back up. Good. Back to hands and knees, tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. Tiny bit of a shorter dog, so walk your feet forward, maybe a tiny step. Your heels do not have to be touching the floor. And then right hand reaches back and under you for your left ankle. It's a little twisting down dog. Good. Try to keep equal weight on both feet. Again, this is that I've got to stabilize my lower body for the twist of my upper body to be meaningful. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release. Do the other side. So left hand reaches for outer right ankle or shin. Again, you're reaching underneath you. Try to reach for the outer ankle, outer shin. There you go. So you're really twisting your shoulders. You're looking underneath that right armpit. Good. Nice, Heidi. Nice, Andra. And then come on back to center, please. Good job. Walk your dog back out to its normal length. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Take that right knee forward and wide, pigeon pose. Yeah, sliding the left leg back. Good. Pressing into that front shin and squeezing your left hip forward a little bit more. Good. And then walk yourself straight ahead, please. Stay up on your fingertips. So arms extended in front of you, up on your fingertips. Cat, cow, your spine. Good. My joke is that if you love cat, cow, but you don't like cat, cow, and pigeon, is that you have some soul searching to do. Right? That you have to watch that tendency of the mind to say, I like it, but I only like it this way. So if you appreciate the movement, find where you can appreciate it in this position, even though it's more challenging, more aggravating. Good. And then go ahead, come to stillness, drop down to your forearms, your blocks, whatever your survival tools are. Good. And keep your front shin awake. And I wonder also, we talk a lot in, these yoga dharmas can sound very lofty and interesting, right? We say the work of your life, your destiny, your dharma, your this, your that. And you might be thinking like, I just want to be okay, right? I just want to do okay. I don't want a dharma. I don't want a destiny. I don't want something that big, and I don't even know what that means. Right? The work of your life is simply knowing who you are and being the best participant that you can be. So it's loving who you love very completely. It's taking care of who you care about very completely. Right? It's finding a place where you enjoy this experience and not that you're just trying to survive it. So if you're wondering what the heck, the yoga teacher's talking about the work of your life, it's that. The work of your life is, can you enjoy this embodiment for what it is without tuning it out, without escaping, without assuming that there's only one way that you can like it? It's the whole point of a spiritual practice. And whatever you do or don't do, accomplishment-wise in the world, is not the point. Right? You are doing your dharma whether you know it or not. That's also the joke, as they say, we are the dancer. You're dancing whether you know it or not. But when you're aware of it, you dance more skillfully. Good, you guys. Walk yourself back up onto your forearms, please. Optional here is to bend the left knee, the back knee, and reach back, twisting quad stretch. So right hand reaches back for the left ankle. Good. And again, you can be up on your hand instead of the elbow if that makes more sense. You can leave that stretch out if it sounds like a terrible idea. Good. Lisa P, just make sure that right hip doesn't shoot out to the side. Squeeze it in. There you go. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release, unwind. Good. Lift back to down dog split. Right leg comes up and back behind you. Yay. Good. And then step that right foot forward between the hands. Left foot steps in just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. Parsvottanasana. Make sure your feet are not right in line with each other. They should have as much space right and left as your hips have. Good. Nice, you guys. And then a great thing to do here, especially if you have blocks, is to cat-cow your spine. In case you thought you couldn't do it in this position, you can. I know one or two of your bodies might be telling me that no, we really can't. Even if there's not a lot of motion, as you can find where the breath is moving in that expansiveness, the extension, and the softening that allows you to get into the back body. The folds of the body, your thigh creases, your armpits, the space between your ribs. Good. And then come back to stillness, please. Nice job. And start to walk your hands towards that baby toe edge of your front foot. Again, you can use blocks. And again, some of you will be happy just to stay right there, walking the hands to the baby toe. Some of you will want to plant that left hand on the floor or a block, again, pressing the forearm against the shin. Right arm comes to the sky or to your hip. Doesn't have to come to the sky. Good. So revolve Trikonasana. You got to push your inner thighs wide. Yeah, not forward and back, but wide, side to side. Good, Sue. Nice, Marjorie. Good, Heidi. Nice, Lana. Nice, Alice. And then slowly release that hand back down to the floor. Nice job. Bend that right knee. Step your left foot forward, top of your mat. Take both legs to straight. Good. And then bend the knees, drop your sit bones low for chair. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Beautiful. Come up on your tippy toes, scoop the low belly. Yeah. And then come all the way up to stand on your tippy toes. Pull up through those inner thighs. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Good. Now drop your heels down to the floor. Nice job. Right knee up and towards your chest. No, not just straight to the other side. No, not yet. Cross the right thigh over top of the left, wrapping the inner thigh, outer shin. Drop into that chair pose again for eagle. So right leg on top, eagle pose. Left arm comes on top of right in front of your chest. Wrap the forearms. Good. You can absolutely use a block underneath that left foot if you need. Good. Squeeze those shins towards each other so you really exaggerate that rolling in of the thigh bones. Good. And then exhale, bring your elbows forward towards your knees, round into your back, but pull your armpits up, up, up. So you're hollow. Belly doesn't drop onto your thigh. You're hollow. Pull up. Good, Laura. Nice. And then slowly come all the way back up. Release, unwind the arms, unwind the legs. Jiminy Christmas. Good. Take a deep breath because when we're doing standing balance, we don't breathe. I'm not even going to joke and say who didn't breathe. I know you didn't. Try the other side. Left knee up and towards your chest. Good. Take that left thigh over top of the right, wrapping the inner thigh, the outer shin. Bend the right knee, dropping down into that chair pose. So your butt has to go slightly back. That's one of the tricks here is your knees don't come far forward. Your hips go back. And then right arm on top of left. Try to stay vertical first. So you've got to draw those ribs in and you've got to lift those hip points up, and it's going to feel really aggravating because now you're focusing not just on your hips, but on your spine. So pull your ribs in, pull your low belly in, almost like you're doing a cat in this position. Nice, Sally. Good. And then bring the elbows forward towards your knees, round your back. Coming forward means you got to drop your hips lower. Yeah. That's the rule. And then a hollow. So you're not dropping your belly onto your thighs, but you're pulling it back, back, back. Awesome. Nice, Marjorie. You have a great focused look on your face. And then slowly release, come on out. Good. Nice, you guys. Arms to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, bow forward. Whatever happened a moment ago, it's gone. Let it go. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Bend your knees just a little bit. Hold opposite elbows. Hang. Maybe rock from side to side or sway from side to side. So I remember when I was a newer teacher that this came up, and maybe it came up in my teacher training, that you watch the faces of your students while they're practicing. And I often say that your faces are priceless. And I know that you don't know the faces that you're making. But sometimes students will look like they are so incredibly angry while they're practicing. And you're like, oh boy, they really hated that. And if you say something to them, right, it happens too often that they're like, what? They're like, no, I love that. That's just my concentration face. So this is part of our perspective, right? Can you look at the world and not just see those external faces and assume, right, that somebody's concentration on their own life or someone's concentration on their own challenges, that that's not all that they are. It's not all that you are. Release the hands down to the floor. Good. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Vinyasa if you'd like, or take a child's pose. If you're doing the vinyasa, you're sliding forward to plank, lowering down slow. You can also stay in dog. Rising up into cobra. Good. Coming back, downward facing dog. Nice, Sue. A nice looking back bend. Beautiful. And then we're coming into pigeon on the other side. So left leg comes up and back behind you. Good. Left knee comes forward and wide towards your left wrist. Again, placing the shin in a way where it still has the ability to support you. So if you're forcing the angle of the shin so much forward that you can't really push into it, that's not helpful, right? So you draw the heel back at a little bit of a softer angle. Good. And then right hip spins forward. Walk yourself straight ahead onto your fingertips, arms long, spine long. Get close to the floor. And then cat-cow. Good. Nice. So again, you'll be as high up as you need to be for cat-cow to still be functional, but I don't want you to be upright trying to do it. I want you to come forward. Good. So it makes me wonder, right? Because most of the images that we have, right? Shiva is in that dancing position and he's in the midst of this chaotic dance, but he's smiling. Most of the images of the Buddha are smiling. We're given this image that when those who are very spiritually accomplished is they seem to always be smiling, right? They don't have that angry concentration face. So we wonder, right? Where does that go? How do we let that go? And it really is that if you're tapping into that flow of energy that is beyond your sense of your limits, is that you can smile even when things are hard because you know it's not the end of you, right? Your worth, your importance, your destiny, your dharma does not hinge on accomplishing this one task. Slowly release, come on down to your elbows, your blocks, whatever you'd like. Right? The teachings that we're given is that you're not afraid. If you're not afraid of death, you're not afraid of endings. If you're not afraid of those things, then you live much more fully in your present. You experience much more because you're not hyper-focused in only one direction. So can you again tap into that flow that your breath makes you aware of, right? The flow of energy that is up and down the spine. The 40-day sadhana that we began yesterday is about the energy of the Adi Shakti, the first energy that creates the world, the most unconditioned and primal energy that began the world. You can say, well, whatever it was when it began, that's certainly not the same state that it's in now, true. And at the same time, that primal Shakti is not dependent on ongoing events. So it is the same that it's always been. It simply looks a little different. So the Adi Shakti is that energy that is also running through you. And it is running through you whether you believe in it or not, whether you are able to consciously perceive it or not, whether you want it to be there or not. It's what you are. You cannot be in physical embodiment and not be Shakti. And the more you become aware of it, moves through you more easily, and you learn to rely on it, believe in it. And Shiva the dancer, it's also, if you look at the pictures as he is dancing, the one foot that is on the ground is actually resting on a dwarf. A dwarf is meant to represent ignorance, all of our confusion, all of our misinterpretations, all of our misunderstandings, because that's what we are dancing on. Even that is smiling, because it's not a big deal if you're confused. The practice is finding your way to transform that confusion into understanding, into wisdom. Start to walk yourself back up, please. Optional here is to move into that quad stretch. So the right knee bends, reach back with the left hand for the foot or the ankle. Good. Not collapsing on that right arm if you are in the quad stretch, so don't fall into that right shoulder. Good. Nice, Alice. Nice, Debbie. And then slowly release, please. Hands to the floor. Lift that back knee. Take your left leg up to down dog split. Good. And then step that left foot between the hands. Right foot steps forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. Parsvottanasana, using blocks underneath the hands if you'd like. And again, cat-cow. Push into your feet. Good. And then relax the spine, come back to stillness. And don't try to escape from your hamstrings. Really push into your feet, it helps. Lift up through your hips, it helps. Widen those inner thighs, it helps. Ronnie, take your feet a little wider, right and left. Good. And then start to walk both hands towards the baby toe edge of that front foot. And again, this might be enough just to twist the ribs and breathe into your right side body. If you want to go for the twisting triangle, right forearm or right hand plants on that baby toe side. Left arm comes to your hip or to the sky. Good. You're turning your belly to the left. Keep those inner thighs pushing wide. Nice. Throat back. Nice, Lana. Good, Nancy. Awesome, you guys. Good, Sue. Good, Debbie. And then release the hand back down, please. Beautiful. Bend your left knee. Step your right foot forward, top of your mat. Bend both knees. Drop your belly onto your thighs. Drop your chin towards your chest. Wrap the arms around the backs of your legs. Good job, those of you who are going straight for chair. I don't know if this is better or worse for you. Good, but you're dropping and squeeze in. Drop your head. And then round your back. Hips still low. Round your back. Good. Press your inner knees, your inner thighs wide. Good. And then start to lift your hips towards the sky any amount. Keep your head dropped and relaxed. Keep squeezing the legs. Even if it means you only straighten your knees half an inch, only straighten half an inch, but stay hugged in. Good. Scoop your belly, but push your butt up so you stretch your lower back without forcing it to be through a straight leg. Good. And then release the hands to the floor. Stay with the head relaxed, round, and roll up your spine one vertebra at a time. Knees can bend. Absolutely. Let your arms hang. Good. Nice, you guys. All right, here you go, your destiny. Right leg holds you, bend your left knee, kick your heel back towards your butt. Left hand reaches for the foot or the ankle. Good, right arm comes to the sky. This is your destiny today, dancer pose. Good, pause there for a moment, right? Draw that left knee back just a tiny bit and then don't let it fly out to the side. So Marlene, draw it down. Good. Yeah, and then you're lifting from that front edge of your pelvis. Start to kick your foot into your hand and lift forward. Take your pelvic points forward, forward, forward as your thigh lifts up. Good, and then reach through that right armpit. Stay lifted. Nice. Good, and here come your angry concentration faces again. Good, and then slowly bring it back up. Really nice. Good, you guys. Release that foot to the floor. Take a deep breath. Whatever happened, it's gone. Let it go. Left leg, standing leg. Right knee bends. Reach back, right hand for the foot or the ankle. Start with that knee pointing down. So really start to understand what the length of the front of your thigh is and how it's resting with your pelvis. So the front pelvic bones are lifting up, but your knee is drawing down. Good. Left arm to the sky. And then start to move that knee back in space without dropping into the pelvis yet. Keep lifting the front edge. And then start to tilt forward, tip forward with the pelvis. Hips go up to the sky. Good. And as you lean forward, because that back thigh is lifting up, you get longer through that left armpit. Nice. And it doesn't have to be a super aggressive, huge dancer pose. It's just work with the length of your thigh and the length of your ribs. Really nice, Heidi. Good, Alice. Good, Laura. Good. Come all the way back up. Nice job. Yeah, any balance that you don't fall on your face out of is a good one. Okay. Right knee up in towards your chest. Second part of your destiny. Good. Take that right leg back behind you, tilt forward into warrior three. So again, that same pelvic tilt, you got to lean forward, kick that right leg back behind you, hands at heart center. Good. Really lift through that inner thigh. Nice, pull your armpits up. And then bend that right knee, kick your heel in. Start to lift your chest forward and up into your hands, up into your thumbs, but pull those armpits back. So you're doing dancer without reaching for your foot. So squeeze that thigh in. Press up through that heel, lift your heart. And then maybe some of you are going to reach back with your right hand to find your foot, go into that traditional dancer position. Maybe you're just going to stay exactly where you are and keep praying. Good. Nice. And then slowly bring it all the way back up wherever you are. The great thing is that you're all remembering to smile now. And then release. Good. You can decide if you think the second variation is more or less fun than the first one. All right, second side, left knee up and towards your chest. Good. And then send that thigh back behind you, warrior three. So you're tilting from the pelvis. Don't collapse forward with your chest. Your chest is not what's doing it. It's your leg coming back that is setting the action. Your chest stays as lifted as it possibly can for as long as it can. Good. Hands at heart center. Awesome. And then start to bend that left knee, kick your heel in, and keep lifting through that thigh and keep lifting through your chest. Lift your heart up, 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 up. Draw those armpits back, 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 back with the hands at the heart. Good. Keep lifting the back thigh, navel in. And then maybe reach back, left hand for the foot or the ankle, come into that traditional dancer pose. Right arm can come back to the sky if you want, or leave it at the heart. That's beautiful. Good. Nice. And then slowly bring it all the way back up wherever you are. Really good, you guys. And then release that foot to the floor. Awesome. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. Breathe there for a moment. Whole spine. Squeeze your hands and your feet towards each other. Pull your hips up. Pull your navel in. Move your ribs and your thighs away from each other. Good. And then release the knees to the floor and drop into child's pose. The great thing is that once you've completed your dharma, right, your destiny for today is you get to die, shavasana, right? You get to be done. No, that's not how it works. The mind has trouble comprehending the idea that what it believes to be its endings are not its endings. That what it believes to be its limits are not truly limits. They're edges of comfort, they're edges of knowing, and stepping beyond that means that we are in a big I don't know. And at the same time, when we step beyond that, we start to trust in that inner flow that says, I may not know what tomorrow will be, how it will be, but I trust in this that I know is in me. And if I trust in that, whatever tomorrow is, I'll meet it. I'll meet it and I'll move through it, transcend it even. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Come forward onto your back, so scoot forward and come onto your backs. If you have a block, bring it with you. As you come onto your back, bend your knees, plant your feet, lift your hips, place the block underneath your sacrum. I know, you did a lot of work today.
We were like, it's safe.
Yeah, a lot of melodramatic sighing going on in here. So resting your sacrum on a block, whatever height you'd like, again, whatever feels like rest to you. And let the heart fall open. Right, it's nice to have a little bit of thought even here that the thigh bones are dropping into the hip sockets. It might even feel like your pelvis is tipping slightly forward towards your heels. And we're told that that state of not knowing is the most powerful place to be because it means that our reactions are not determined. Our mind can't jump in and say, well, this is how we responded last time, so this is the way we have to respond again. So this is what the yogis call freedom, is that you get to live your life as everything that you are, and whatever happens or doesn't happen is not the point. You don't get caught in that feeling that what happens or doesn't happen is either the beginning or the end of you. Tap into that feeling that there is an energy in you that is always rising. You may not notice it until the world hands you a situation that forces you to notice it. But if it brings you to a place where you're now aware that that's what you are, and that's the grace of creation, that's the grace of the universe. And it's perfectly okay that you needed the push. But put your faith in what you are inside, not in what the outside world is going to do or not do. Take one more breath. And then releasing, but before you release, press into your feet, press into your arms, come into bridge pose, so staying in the same position that you're in, but lift your butt up off the block. Good. I kind of like if the block is underneath you still, because it's going to tell you when you start to sag, when you get tired, right? Good. Hug those knees in just a little bit, Andra. There you go. Awesome. And then move the block out from underneath you, please. Roll down the spine, one vertebra at a time, onto your back. Pause for a moment. Good. And then right knee comes in towards your chest, please. Keep the left knee bent, foot on the floor. Good. Hold behind that right thigh. Extend the heel up towards the ceiling. Good. Take your tailbone down towards the floor. Bring your butt towards your left heel. Again, that thigh bone is drawing in and down. Awesome. And then cross the right ankle over the left thigh, please. Lift your left shin parallel to the floor. Reach through the hold the left leg if you'd like. Squeeze in. Keep the low back down to the floor. So that same idea of pressing into your shins in a twisting position is really focused lower abdominals. Press your low back down. Good. And then release the thigh. Bring the right leg all the way on top of the left. Scoot your hips over to the right. Drop your legs to the left for spinal twist. Good. And if twisting with the legs wrapped doesn't work for you, unwind the legs. Ronnie, bring your legs the other way. Yep, there you go. Good. Still with the low navel drawing in, so you're constantly supporting the lower spine. Good. Slowly unwind the legs. Come back to center, please. Plant both feet with the knees bent. Good. Come into bridge pose. Lift your hips. Dragging your butt towards your heels and your armpits towards the crown of your head. Good. Lisa P, watch the knees, don't go too wide. Andra, watch the knees, don't go too wide. So widen your feet, but bring your knees in, Andra. There you go. Yep. Good. And then release the hips slowly back down to the floor. Nice. Keep the right leg where it is. Bring your left knee in towards your chest. Hold behind the thigh. Extend your left heel up towards the ceiling. Again, sending your pelvis towards that right heel so the tailbone goes down towards the floor. Nice. There's pressure of that thigh back against your hands, but it's not important that the knee is straight. What's important is that you're pushing your sit bone down and your heel up. Good. And then bend that knee, left ankle on top of right thigh. Lift the right shin parallel to the floor. Reach through to hold. Again, keeping the awareness of the lower abdominals, pressing the low back down to the floor. Good, and then release that thigh, please. Cross the left leg all the way on top of the right. Scoot your butt over to your left. Drop your knees to the right. Spinal twist. And again, if twisting with the knees, so Nancy, move your hips the other way if you're gonna do the wrap. Okay, if you're happy where you are, stay where you are. Good. If twisting with the knees wrapped doesn't feel good, unwind. Try to have your knees in line with your hips or higher if your knees are stacked. And then slowly unwind the legs. Come back to center, please. Good. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Bottoms of the feet come together. Heels drop to your groin. So you're in Baddha Konasana, but you're not dropping the feet to the floor. You're dropping the heels towards your groin. You can hold the ankles. You got it. Yeah, so the knees are squeezing up towards the armpits a little bit. And you get really wide in your low back without any of that potential pressure that when we bring the feet to the floor, sometimes that can pull on the lower back. So you get the hip release and lower spine release. And then bring the knees together, please. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Squeeze. And then slowly release, please. Stretching the legs out in front of you, arms up alongside your ears. Last moment, I promise. Like you are in Tadasana on your back, flex your feet, dig your heels down. As your heels dig down and up towards your hips, you might feel the tops of your thighs fly up. So draw the tops of the thighs down and lift through that front edge of your pelvis, and then soften your rib cage down and in and widen through your chest. Maybe your hands have to come wider. Feel your shoulders. Throw your water bottles. Good. Full body stretch, extend. And then let everything go. Feet drop open. They can go wider than your hips. Arms alongside you, palms up. Maybe go back to that breath that is up and down the spine. It moves into the infinite space. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. Letting the body begin to stretch, move, in whatever ways serve it well. Drawing your knees in towards your chest, roll to the right side. And take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. And bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, or whatever mudra has been working well for you. This image of Shiva as the dancer, the cosmic dancer. It says that everything is happening all at once, and while it might seem like it's chaos because your mind is trying to make sense of more than it can handle, it's trying to extrapolate what tomorrow will be based on today, and it can't. That instead of being in that state where it feels like the world is pulling you constantly into that circle or that spiral or that descent into madness, as it often feels, instead of that, we're asked with a spiritual practice to connect to that flow of energy that is within, because that's steady, that's constant. That Adi Shakti is always Adi Shakti, right? The Shiva quality, we call it equanimity, is always equanimity. How we enter into it might look different moment to moment, but the energy itself is always the same. So when we learn to rely on that, then we have the ability to meet the world however it is, maybe even with a smile. We're able to meet it, and we're not afraid that it's going to be the end of us when circumstances change. So yes, you're going to get up every day still and do your work, and the world is going to continue to change. And you're still going to get up every day and do your work, whatever your work is in this lifetime, even if it's just to discover how to be happy in this embodiment. That can be your work. But the practice is to be steady in that internal flow of energy so that you know that as the world turns, it is not the end of you. You'll keep meeting it. You'll keep transcending it because that's what you are. So that's our practice. It's got nothing to do with what the outside world is doing. It has everything to do with how you are dancing with that, how you are dealing with your own transformation. So you breathe up and down your spine, and you trust that you are more than whatever tomorrow is going to bring. And close the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your weekend, a great rest of your week until I see you again. Just a reminder, pretty soon we are going to be opening up my Wednesday 4:30 class to in person. So if anybody's interested in that, keep your eyes open for when that's available. Yeah, and 40-day sadhana began yesterday, but you can jump in at any time. So recordings of that are up on Natural Yoga's Facebook page, and I'll have it up on the YouTube page today. So if you're interested in joining that, you are welcome to. Okay, that's it. You got to unmute yourselves to talk to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.